So have you ever thought about dating outside of your race? Because I came across something on TikTok from a user by the name of JBrew77. And she was responding to a post of a woman that said that she was so happy to have found love in a man. And then the man came on the screen and he was a white guy. All right. And so the young lady, J. Brew, interrupted the conversation and said, I knew that it was going to be a white man that she was talking about. Black women, you need to step outside of your comfort zone and date outside of your race. And this was on Simply Shanika's page. I don't know if some of you all follow her. But anyway, what are your thoughts on dating outside of your race?
I say do it. If they match with what you aspire to have in your relationship, I don't think a race should matter. I have several friends that are actually married to Hispanic men or white men. I will say I do see the difference in their relationship.
Differences.
So their men are more catering. They're more the emotional support, just support in general. Just willing to step outside of, there's really no gender roles. You know, a lot of times in our culture, there's like gender roles. They expect you to be able to do certain, you got to be able to cook, you need to be able to clean, you need to be able to do this. And I may step on some toes and that's fine. That is okay. But I see it just watching, and then to the way they communicate and interact together. Like they're more of a caretaker of their woman versus they're expecting her to get up and go do A, B, C, D. Like even when the kids are there, they'll be like, honey, I'll watch the kids, you go get some rest. Like they'll take the kids. I've been on the phone and she's like, I'm so tired. And he'll be like, oh, I'll take the kids. We'll go to the park while you take a nap. I really don't see that sometimes in our culture.
So that was the sentiment in these comments. I will tell you that was the sentiment a lot of the women had. But then there were some women in the comments who were also saying, hey, I'm married to a black man.
And he definitely would take the kids if I need to take a nap. Shout out to you, boo.
Yeah, you know, and that's not my experience, right? And that's not your experience either, right?
Not at all.
And
I want to know the bad side, though. What would you say are the differences that might not be so positive? Because I think that we always do hear,
Right.
And how that translates to a lot of people is, well, get a non-black man because he's going to treat you better. But what are there's always the good and the bad. So do you know of any things that might be more on the negative side in those interracial relationships?
Well, I will say, so there are some really great black men out there. Shout out to our black men as well. But I think the narrative sometimes gets, because we look at one instance of a relationship with someone with a white man and be like, oh, they have the perfect relationship. Look at all this stuff they're doing. But then on our side, they show all the negative. So we don't get a chance to see those good men out there that are doing those things. But to your question, can you ask it again?
Do you notice any differences that are not on the positive side? I mean,
you can't really say because they're your friends. You can't be like,
well, yeah, but that's right. Well, that's what you can't say, but maybe you don't even.
that you've noticed.
Yeah, you might not know. There might not be one that you know.
I will say the culture differences. Like, since she has, like, we grew up in high school together. She married, they're different. Like, they celebrate holidays differently. They do a lot of different things. It's not the same. I would say culturally, she's changed a lot. Like,
had to make some adjustments.
Right. So, I mean, I guess that would make sense because her children they're mixed. So you've got to try to blend both cultures. But I don't see her blending her culture as much into it. So...
yeah, and that's kind of why I got kind of, black men are always going to be my steez just because I love black people, I love black men, and I just love black culture. So that's how I want my kids to grow up.
And I think it would be such a challenge. I think it is a challenge to have black children because these children are seen as black people. I think it's such a challenge to merge the culture sometimes. It's such a challenge to try to equally expose them to both sides.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and I think you're doing a disservice, and sometimes you can't always preach love your black self if I don't
if that's not what I'm seeing.
If that's not my experience.
Yeah.
So I think it's a challenge.
Oh, it's tricky.
It's tricky, for
Talk
sure.
about tricky. Let's just talk about your dating experience, your specific experience. What have the challenges been? How has it been to navigate after divorce, 2 divorces, and now we've hit 40? How is it out there right now? What are the streets talking about?
Triggers. You know how in a relationship, there's always triggers. You think about previous things that have happened. So I think a lot of us that are dating now, we're like watching. We're watching to see what they're doing. We're triggered by certain things that have happened in the past. So it's like process of elimination. Like we're ready to eliminate and move on to the next. Why? Because even though they say there's not a lot out there, there actually is. There is a lot of opportunity out there. I would say for me, I stably date because I'm an emotional person. I get attached emotionally. So I'm pretty stable. I'm not doing the 90-day rule.
Yeah, what are you doing different? What are you doing different from back in your 20s till now in terms of dating?
Then I was kind of talking to everybody because I needed to see which way I wanted to go. And honestly, with me being a Gemini, I got two sides. So I got to have a person for this side and a person for this side.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, of course, you want to be more stable. I wouldn't say necessarily settle down yet because most people, I'm not going to speak for all people who have been married before, but getting married again, especially when you've already done it, is something that you're not ready to jump back into.